Dave Pasch with us for a few minutes. You saw the 49ers as voice of the Cardinals this year. You didn't see the Chiefs, but you have seen the Chiefs. What do you make out of this matchup in the Super Bowl?
Well, I have a hard time ever betting against Patrick Mahomes. I just think when you look at what he did this postseason, it shows you again that he's the best player in the NFL, and he's the most unique player at that position that we've ever seen. He may end up going down as the best player at that position we've ever seen. He's certainly the most talented I've ever seen
Mm.
at that position. And the 49ers showed, look, they weren't elite defensively this year, despite the names on that roster. And you saw that in the first half. Things got better in the second half, but how much of that was the Lions kicking it around a little bit, the fumble? They didn't have the ball a ton.
Drops.
Yeah, the drops, right. Some of the decisions on fourth down instead of kicking it,
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a challenge for that defense, even though the Chiefs may not have the weapons on the perimeter that they've had in the past. But I think the 49ers defense will be challenged to stop Mahomes. And that's where the game's going to come down to. I think Brock Purdy will play well. I have no question, no doubt that he'll play well. But to outduel Mahomes, you may have to. I think this game could be a high scoring game, and I'm just not sure that he can do that.
When I don't know, did you do Brock Purdy Iowa State games?
Oh yeah. Yeah, did him in the Fiesta Bowl, did him probably 5 or 6 times over the years. Yeah.
And so in pre-production, you've sat with him, you've visited with him, and then you see him play. And when you see what he's doing now, what is your thought process on this kid? Or I expected this. What do you think?
No, did not expect this. I thought Brock was a great college player, and he elevated that Iowa State program, which has a very good coaching staff, very good players. He's not the only one to come out of there and succeed in the NFL, but he deserves a lot of credit for what he did in Ames with that program, did make them a contender for the Big 12 championship and to play in New Year's Six bowl games. And he was always such a joy to talk with, and just his demeanor, it's what you see now. And for some reason, I think people see it as a negative when they talk about all the weapons that he has around him. Like somehow, that's the reason he's succeeding. I mean, it's part of the reason he's succeeding, but you can say it about anybody when you have great players around you.
Dave Pasch with us. Before I get you out of here, I want to get local. Jonathan Gannon, year one, where the team is heading. What do you think? What do you like? What concerns you?
I think all the things you saw with, for example, the Detroit Lions are things that you can hang your hat on with the Cardinals. And what I mean by that is, the Lions had to lay a new foundation and build a culture, and they did that. And it took some time, but now you're seeing the fruit of that culture. And that was the goal of Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, Michael Bidwill. Jeremy Wall's the new CEO, who's basically come in and, changing the culture on the business side. I mean, there's all that together. Mm-hmm. And that's why I mentioned the Lions, because they did that as well. They brought in Chris Spielman to kind of unite the building and bring people together on both sides. And the Cardinals are trying to do that. And I think we saw some steps in that direction this year. You talk to anybody, I talk to coaches on other teams, people around the league, there is a respect level for what the Cardinals did this year. It may not show up. Well, it didn't show up in terms of wins and losses, but there's something there. There's a foundation that's been laid in terms of how you do things. And the type of people you identify as well as players that you identify. And we're going to see more of that. I'm really curious. I'm encouraged and really curious to see what's next in terms of the draft and how that looks and the type of people that they continue to bring in. The assistant GM for the Cardinals, Dave Sears, he was in Detroit for a long time. That was a person that the Lions did not want to lose. And, Monty had a relationship with Dave Sears, goes out and gets him to help, establish how you want to go about drafting players. You've got obviously the Patriots background, the Titans background there with Monty, and then JG in terms of the people that he's been around. So I think if you're a Cardinal fan, you will like where this is going. You hope it results in, being in playoff contention next year. And I think that's a reality. I think if Kyler Murray is healthy and you continue to build around him, you're going to see this team being relevant in December.